Well, hi guys, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if this is your first visit. For years, we've been told the same story. The 500cc two-stroke is finished. It's gone. It's never coming back. Honda killed the CR500. Kawasaki buried the KX500. KTM decided four-strokes were largely the future, and that was supposedly the end of the story. Well, maybe not. Because a company in China has just rolled out something that nobody saw coming. This is the ROCS, R-O-C-S 502cc two-stroke motocross bike. And before you all rush into the comments saying it's fake, it's AI generated, or it's just another Chinese copy, hold your horses. This thing is absolutely 100% real. It's a prototype. It's running, and it's got a lot of dirt bike enthusiasts asking one very simple question. Could the open class two-stroke actually make a comeback? Now, the company behind it is called ROCS, or ROCS, I cannot pronounce that in China. Now, here's the interesting bit. They didn't simply dust off an old CR500 engine and stick it into a modern frame. No, apparently they wanted to build a completely modern open-class motocross bike from scratch. Now, whether they pull it off is another question entirely, but I have to admit they're having a crack, whereas the Japanese manufacturers haven't bothered for more than 20 years, and that's got my attention. Now, let's just have a little comparison here. The 1985 CR500 RF, that was one of the fire-breathing dragons from back in that era, put out 64.4 horsepower and 72 newton meters of torque, and it weighed an insane 102 kilograms. That is 125cc motocross territory. Now, the ROCS, or the ROCS, puts out 50 kilowatts. Now, that translates into 67 horsepower, and it puts out slightly less than Honda from back in 1985 in torque at 69.5 newton meters. Still very good figures. Now, let's have a look at the bike itself. First impressions? Honestly, it looks pretty serious. The chassis has got that modern European motocross look about it. The suspension layout looks current, looks like a copy of KYB or WP, and that's not a bad thing. The bodywork is clean, then your eyes immediately get drawn to that enormous expansion chamber. Now, if you're old enough to remember racing CR500s, KX500s, Mako 490s, YZ465s, 490s, you'll know exactly what that bike promises. Pain. Lots of pain. And a huge grin inside your helmet. The engine is a 502cc liquid-cooled single-cylinder two-stroke. Yep, 502 cubic centimetres. That's not a typo. Fuel is supplied by a carburetor, which will probably make a lot of old-school riders happy, including myself. But the ignition system is where things get interesting. Instead of the old-fashioned CDI technology, ROCS says it uses a much more advanced electronically controlled ignition derived from the EFI systems. I have absolutely no idea what that means, but it sounds good. In theory, that means they can precisely control ignition timing throughout the rev range. Now you may ask, why is that important? Because anybody who's ever ridden an old school CR500 knows they don't exactly ease you into power. They introduce themselves by trying to rip your arms out of their sockets. If modern electronics can smooth out that violent hit without taking away the character of the engine, that could actually be a very, very smart move. Now, let's be honest. This bike isn't going to steal sales away from Yamaha YZ450Fs, KTM 450 SXs overnight, KXs or any of the other big brands, but that's not really the point. This motorcycle is aimed at a completely different group of riders and a completely different market. People who love the smell of premix, people who think a power valve is more exciting than traction control, people who believe motorcycles should occasionally try to kill you. just to keep life interesting. And judging by the reaction online, there are still plenty of us around. Now, the other thing that's got people talking is the price. Modern 500cc two-strokes don't really exist anymore unless you're buying a boutique European build or spending a small fortune restoring an old CR or KX500 or similar. Now, some restored examples are now changing hands for crazy money. Now, anybody who's seen one of my previous videos on Mecum auctions will know that that is not unusual to see them going for over $15,000 or more. Well, obviously over is more, isn't it? Anyway, moving on. So if ROCS can build a reliable modern 500 and sell it for significantly less, they could end up creating a market nobody else is even trying to compete in. Of course, that's a very big if. But the word is that they are going to try and introduce this bike at a sub $10,000 price tag. That is their aim. We'll see if that actually happens. But building a prototype is one thing. Building hundreds of reliable production bikes is a completely different challenge. Personally, I absolutely love the fact that somebody is thinking outside the box. Whether this bike becomes the next big thing or disappears into motorcycle history doesn't really matter. Innovation is good. Competition is good. And frankly, I'd rather see companies building exciting motorcycles than another dozen identical 454 strokes painted different colours. Well, not painted, but different colour plastics every year. Because that's about what we've been getting for the last 15 to 20 years. Take a look at Ken Roczen, just won the Supercross title on a bike that's pretty much 20 years old. There you go. Anyway, so now it's over to you. Would you actually buy a modern Chinese-built 500cc two-stroke? Or is this one of those bikes you'd happily watch someone else ride while you stick with your trusty 450 or similar? Let me know in the comments because I reckon opinions on this one are going to be all over the place. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Mike from Moto.